Dark Magician actually found a round of success out here this week. We have more Salamangreat. I've actually enjoyed seeing how this deck has evolved, and some innovations out here for IKEA. Big 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. We're going to be starting off here with some IKEA innovations out here. And don't worry, Salamangreat Fiends is something that I really haven't seen too much of. This turn, neither player can special summon monsters with the same card type, Ritual Fusion, Synchro, or Exceed, or Link that they already control. If you do not control two monsters or two more monsters of the same type, blah, 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 and Link monsters you currently control get 500 attack. So the biggest thing you hear about here is a generic floodgate jam against the opponent. It is, it's actually pretty interesting. Also, it's a normal trap, so you can actually access it, which, once again, is a little bit important to this deck. So we have triple copies of Absolute King Backjack. Actually, interesting to see that this deck has been taking advantage of this. We have one Ariana with triple copies of Fiendish Rhino. We also have triple copies of my Chandelier, triple copies of my Cuckoo Clock, triple copies of my Little Angry Stove, and then, of course, we have triple copies of Lady Labyrinth, and one copy of Lovely Labyrinth, along with triple copies of Maximus Outputus. Then we have one Labyrinth. That's it. That's your only spell that you need in this deck. We have triple copies of Big Welcome Labyrinth, two copies of Dimensional Barrier, triple Punishment, triple copies of Infinite Permanence, two Salamangreat Fiends, two Trap Trick, and then triple copies of, well, Welcome Labyrinth. Then in the next deck we have one Unchained Soul Rage, one Soul Vanquish with one copy of the Unchained Soul King Yama. Fun fact, and the one Abomination. Get access like all of this. Like, the fact that you get away with that is crazy. We have one Bucephalus, one Anima, one Lingaribo, one Nightmare Unicorn, one Phoenix, two Chaos Angel, two Innits, two Chimera, the Beast King. Then we have two Ariana, one Jerusalem, one Magna Hut, two Phantasme, one Keldo, one Mudora, two Nibiru, a Pointer, one Dimensional Barrier, one EEV, one Full Force, and one copy Salamangreat Fiends, wrapping up the first list. Next up here is the legendary, and I mean the absolute craziness of the Dark Magician. Now, this was a relatively interesting tournament to see because this placed third, like, playing through a crap ton of meta. And I was really like, whew. We are actually playing the Magnum the Reliever here. One monster special from the extra deck plus one monster in the hand. You can target a polymerization spell or a fusion spell in your graveyard, place it on the bottom of the deck to draw one. When another card effect is activated, banish a polymerization or a fusion spell from your graveyard. Target a card on the field and destroy it. A little something that you kind of get access to in terms of, this deck. Outside of that, I mean, it's standard Dark Magician, with a little bit of a teched Bishuda or Monk package in here. I mean, also bounce ability. You cannot forget bounce ability. So we have one Apprentice with triple Ash, two copies of Didi Crow, one Dark Magician Girl with triple copies of Magician's Rod. Of course, we have triple Magician Souls, triple copies of Maxi, two copies of Vishuda, one Timaeus the United Dragon, triple Dark Magician, triple copies of Illusion of Chaos, triple copies of Dark Magical Circle with two copies of Fusion Deployment, one copy of Magician's Salvation, two copies of Secrets of Dark Magic, two copies of Soul Serpent, two Eternal Soul, one Imperm, one Skill Drain, and one copy of Solemn Judgment. Then in the next deck we have one Selene, one Monk, one Imduck with one Dahark, we have one Artemis with one Access Code, one Diablosis with one Big Eye, one Zeus, two copies of the Dark Magicians, one Master of Chaos, one Magnum the Reliever, one Guardian Chimera, and of course one Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. We have one Jerusalem, one Magna Hut, two Droll, one Phantasme, one Ghost Ogre, two Space Rock, two Cosmic Cyclone, one Herald of the Abyss, a Secret Village, a Terraforming, a Solemn Judgment, and a Summon Limit here, wrapping up one of your more interesting little builds out here. Next up here we have Salamangreat, and yes, the card that everybody told me that I was crazy for liking has actually become one of the most popularized cards in modern era Salamangreat because it literally tutors for any Salamangreat monster in your entire deck. So, at the point of like building this, you had to understand like another starter for this deck was literally one of the best things that this deck could actually pull for it. Also love the fact that they get the Scythe package over there. Differences and Problems 101. So of course we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Got the one Didi Crow with two copies of Droll and Lockbird. Triple copies of Big Ol' Maxi, one copy of Falco. We also have one Foxy with two copies of Gazelle, one copy of Jack Jaguar, one copy of Mirror. I love seeing this card. This card's actually pretty good. We have triple copies of Salamangreat to fire, 2 copies of Spinny. We have 2 copies of the Weasel, handing a monster to your opponent so that you know they actually have to burn resources to kind of clear things off. It's actually pretty decent. We have 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 2 Sign Up Mining, triple Circle with 1 Sanctuary, and 2 copies of Will. And then, of course, we have triple Gozen because soft-locking your opponent by giving them, you know, the monster off of this is pretty good. We have triple Imperm, 1 Rage, and 1 Roar. And then, of course, we have 1 Transco Talker, 1 Splash Mage, your triple copies of Sunlight Wolf, 2 Raging Phoenix. The card actually does see competitive play. We have 1 Heatleo with triple Balinix, 1 Link Decoder, 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul, 1 Axis Machine, and then a Mirage Dahlia. And of course we have 1 Scythe, 1 copy of Droll, 1 Kurtikara, 2 copies of Space Rock, 2 Forbidden Droplet, 1 Feather Duster, 2 Sanctum, 2 Evenly, a Red Reboot, and 2 copies of everybody's favorite Solemn Judgment friend here. Wrapping up, well, a little bit more interesting of a take here for Salamangreat. Next up here, you know, the things I could do as an innovator if I had this card at multiples. I think, honestly, that this is one of the cooler cards in the entire game's history. But, you know, we don't get the chance to play this. This allows one of the most interesting decks to be used here. And I see that we are citing Chaos Daedalus. I mean, to be fair, even at getting access to, you know, this card in a deck like this is already, like, cool enough. So many cool ideas you can do with Rank 8 Turbo. So we have triple copies of Alpha, the Master of Beast. Of course, triple Ash Blossom and Joy Spring with your 2 copies of the Waning Moon, 1 copy of Baldrake, 1 Druis Worm with 1 Magna Hut. We've got triple copies of the Crow Machine, triple copies of Bigfoot, 2 copies of Shifter, 1 Pinkertops with 1 Doggeron. Of course, we have 2 Effect Veilers, triple copies of Luna, 2 copies of Ghost Ogi. We have triple copies of Gizmek Orochi, 2 copies of Kurtikara, your triple Maxi, 2 copies of the Swage de Fleur, and of course, triple copies of I Love Drawing Cards. And then we have 1 Underworld Goddess, your 1 Zero Boros, your 1 Celine, your 1 Dahark with your 1 Dragublion, 1 Pain with 1 Seven Sins. We have the 1 Hope Harbinger, your 1 Number 100, 1 Zeus with 1 Dingrisu. We have 1 Chaos Ruler with 1 Chaos Angel. We have 1 Blackwing Form Master and 1 Baron. And then, of course, Chaos Daedalus, because this is so cool. We have triple copies of Denko Rekka, triple copies of Nibiru, triple copies of Retaliating Sea, and then, of course, triple copies of the little Smoke Mosquito here, wrapping up, well, I mean, it's called Rank 8 Turbo because, I mean, look at how many Rank 8, or how many level 8s you're playing. I mean, then you just turbo everything into, like, 100 here off of the Dragublion and attempt to end the game. Like, it's the same, like, cheese that we've had, and it might not come up as much as you think, but it is devastating enough at certain points. And then our last list here is some Mannadium action. I wanted to showcase this because a lot of people are like, hey, you know, like, what's going on with Mannadium here, you know, in the future? You know, like, are we going to see something, you know, crazy out here? This was a list from a fairly high-placing OCG tournament as of late, and this will give you a little bit of a framework as to what to expect here in the future. And I mean, you definitely got a lot of consideration for things to do here. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. You got the 1 DD Crow, your 1 Droll and Lockbird with your 1 copy of Moonlit Chill. We have 1 Ghost Oker with 1 Fenrir, 1 Unicorn, and then we have triple copies of Meek, triple copies of Riem Heart, triple copies of Maxi. We have 1 Scareclaw Cashier, 2 copies of Reinhardt, and then we have 2 copies of Vice Starfrost. And then we have 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator with 1 Birth, 1 Theosis with 2 copies of Abstention, got 1 Imaginings with 1 Peaceful Planet, 1 Raysloth with 1 Ryctophobia, 1 Rhoda with 1 Arrival, we have 1 Terraforming, 1 Talents, triple Infirm, and of course 1 Reframing. Then we have the 1 Lightheart, 1 Cross Sheep with 1 Apple, 1 Baguski, your 1 Arise Heart with your 1 Zeus, and then of course, you know, the good card, Vices Armorata, Crimson Dragon, of course, Ching Ying with Chaos Angel, Dissipator, Baron, the Excel Synchro, and Vicious Shrouds. And then we have 1 Bysteel Drissworm, 1 Magna Nut, and then 2 Drolls, your Phantasme, 2 Kurikara, 2 Nibiru, 1 Feather Duster, 1 Thrust, 2 A Pointer, and then we have 1 Dimensional Bear, 1 copy of a Red Reboot here. Wrapping up your chunk of OCG goodies for today. So what do you guys think? Please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons! Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.